Hi, I'm Mike Schwartz. I'm the founder of Gluu, and today I'm going to do a quick demo to show you Janssen Tarp, our test browser extension to test OpenID Connect and token-based access control using this Cedarling. So let me share my screen. So to install Tarp, we're going to use the latest nightly build. So if we go to the Janssen project, the URL for that is jans.io. So if we navigate up to the Janssen project, we will see that there's a releases section, and we're going to use, for TARP, it's always nice to use the latest version, the nightly build. And I'm using Chrome, so I'm just going to download that zip file, and then I'm going to unzip it in my downloads directory. So there it is, just unzip it, and then I will go to the extensions section and load unpacked and specify this directory. To load it, there it is. I like to set to pin it to the toolbar. So we can do that and allow it in incognito. Sometimes that's handy for testing OpenID Connect. So great. So now I see it up here. Let's log into TARP. So this is the browser extension. And because TARP is a OpenID Connect relying party, what we're going to do is use dynamic client registration to register this client. So I'll hit add client. We have a test server set up. Give it the host name. I'm going to expire this client tomorrow. It's a throwaway client. And we'll give this client some interesting scopes. Email, profile, and hit register. Okay, so now the client has performed dynamic client registration. It's got a client ID and a secret. This is a throwaway client, as I mentioned. And now what I can do is I can invoke OpenID Connect authentication. Now I think I'm already registered, so it's probably not going to prompt me here. But let's use all the scopes we registered and hit trigger the auth flow. Here we go. And as I said, I'm already logged in. And so now I can see I'm logged in. Let's log out. I'll just show it again. So if I log out and I hit invoke, this time it's going to ask me to log in. And because I don't have a session anymore, get the login page. I've already authorized it, so it didn't have to reauthorize me. And now I'm logged in. So like any JavaScript application, I have an access token, I have an ID token, and a user info token. Let's just take a look at this user info token. This is the base64 encoded, not very user-friendly to look at. Let's show the payload. So we have our claims in here, our profile claims. And I just want to point out that we've added the role claim. And I provisioned in my IDP to add the role Supreme Ruler. And I'm going to use that for my demo. Now let's get into the Cedarling part of it. So one of the ideas with token-based access control is that we're going to use the tokens for authentication. And we already have our tokens. So now we need to set up the authorization part. And so the Cedarling is running in memory. And so in order to do that, we're going to have to configure the Cedarling. We're going to have to tell the Cedarling, especially, where is it going to get its policy stores? Where is its policies and schema? So to do that, we'll add a configuration. And I'm using the demo from our quick start. And I'll just copy these demos or these properties here, and I will add them in. I'll just paste them in. Now, I'm just going to call this Mike Tarp Demo app, or this is really just a name, a human-friendly name for the Cedarling instance you created. But the really important thing here is that I need to tell the Cedarling where to get its policies. And so let me actually quickly divert to a Gamma Lab. Agama Lab is our developer site. Oops, I got logged out. Let me log in. It uses GitHub for login, and all the files are stored in GitHub too. So in Agama Lab, we have the Flow Designer, which is how you use low code to design your login flows, and we have Policy Designer, which is a tool for authoring Cedar policies. Because this is a quick demo, I've already authored a policy store, and I'll just show it to you. Actually, let me switch into Policy Designer. So here's my store. And if I want to look at my policies, I've only actually defined one policy here. I'll just show it to you. It says basically the principal has the role supreme ruler. And remember that I have given myself that role. So the policy store defines three things. It defines the schema. For example, we have entity types. We've defined a resource called secret document. But also there's always an entity for the user and the workload. The workload would be our client, our OAuth client in this case. It's the piece of software acting on behalf of the user. And we always have entities for the tokens themselves, like access token, ID token, user info token. We might have policies about these different entities that we want to enforce. So schema, policies, trusted issuers. Those are the three things in a policy store. And now that we have our policy store is authored, what I can do is I can copy this is on GitHub where the policy store lives. So I can just copy that, go back to my Cedarling Bootstrap properties, paste that in. Now, pro tip, navigate down so you see that green box so you know to validate. So I can validate, they look good, and I'll save it. And then I can see now my configuration is loaded in the browser, and here's my policy store. Okay, so now let's go to the last step. Let's test our policies. So we have two ways to do that. We have Cedarling unsigned and Cedarling signed. We're going to use Cedarling signed. Unsigned is where you just assert the principal. If you're using one of these older protocols like LDAP, your application might actually authenticate the user and then assert, oh, this is the user. So we call that basically a unsigned authorization request. But in this case, we have tokens. We have an access token. So we're just going to say, I don't need to assert the principal. I have tokens to provide evidence of who the principals I'm acting on behalf of are. We will give the resource. Actually, let me just copy quickly my resource here. It's a very simple resource. We will basically we're saying the resource is secret document. And so I'm saying I have this principal, the principal represented by these tokens, wants to do a read action on the secret document resource. So let's submit this authorization request and see what happens. And I can see that authorization is allowed. And the reason it's allowed is because of this policy. And if I go back to my policy store, what I can see is that, remember, it was 404 at the end. So this is the policy under which I was allowed to get access to this resource. So that brings us to the end of our demo. The URL for Agama Lab, by the way, is cloud.gluu.org/Agama Lab. If you want to find out more about Janssen Project, the Cedarling, visit the website. A good place to start is the website, Janssen Project. You can also check out the documentation for Janssen Project, which is at docs.janssen.io. Okay, hope you like that demo, and we will see you next time.